So today we have one of the influential leaders here in South Africa. We are so delighted to be hosting Nkosinathi Buthelezi. So we'll be hearing more about his life, his life to talk to us. Shenge, we are delighted to have you on this fresh episode of ABAHOLI today.
It's my pleasure.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, sir.
This is Nkosinathi Buthelezi. I'm from the KZN province, Nkandla, to be specific. I was born there, even though I spent most of my life here in Gauteng. I'm a born-again child of God. I pastor a church that is in Kingsway in
How did you become a leader, especially in the space where you operate as a pastor?
I realized at my young age that I was called into leadership. Way back from school, I used to get myself involved in leadership activities, unaware that maybe this was where God wanted me to be. But back then, I was leading at class. I was even after school, but it was immediately after my school, after my matric to be specific, where I realized that there's something about leadership in me. Especially this leadership was cultivated from my church. I was also involved in politics. That is where the desire to lead was exposed in my life. Maybe involved more with politics. Many people don't know this one, that I love politics a lot, even though I decided to take a backseat because it was affecting my Christian life. Yes, but I realized that there was leadership in me back from school and immediately after my matric.
When you were growing up, with all the opportunities of leadership that you had, did you ever think that those were preparing you for what you are doing now? Or did you just stumble on your current roles?
Oh yes, definitely it does. Because, the other thing that drew me into a leadership, it was the vacuum. I could tell that, the leaders that one was looking up to, there were some things that I didn't find them. I was not impressed. I was looking for something more. Leadership is my calling. That's me when you talk leadership. And there was a vacuum. You find people leading maybe because they are motivated to lead. Maybe there's other material benefit for them to lead. I'm passionate about leadership. So even when I was young, from school, after school, ministry, I could tell even back then that there was more to leadership than what I was exposed to. So hence I started to invest more of my time researching, reading more about leadership.
Are you married?
I am married. I've been married for the past 19 years now. Happily so, with 2 kids, yes.
How do you balance between the demands of your work and your family?
When you say balance, it may seem as if maybe I'm juggling the two equally. Sisters will say they multitask, which means whatever they do, they can do this other one while doing the other one. It's quite difficult for me, I must say, because I'm sold out to Christ, I'm sold out to ministry. Even though that I give myself some time to family is very, very important to me, and ministry, but I found the ministry eating more of my time. So to say I balance it, there's no balance. Maybe it's 60-40, but I'm struggling, and I'm always striving for perfection. I want to be a good father, not just only a pastor.
What strategies do you use in trying to maintain that 60-40 balance?
And make sure that I put more focus to my family, that even the 50% or the 60% I give to my family, they will never, ever, ever realize that it is 60 or 40. Fortunately, you know, I explained at the early age, my wife knows me, knows the kind of person I am, my calling, my passion for leadership. She will give me that space. My kids, they know that I'm a born leader. You know, I'm born to lead, and I'm born to succeed in all that I'm doing. So it's easy for them to give me the space that I want, because whatever I do, whether it's pastoring, whether it's leadership, wherever the calling, wherever I may find myself, I do that along with them. So it's not only me running a one-man show. My wife and my kids are part of what I'm doing.
Do you see yourself as a father everywhere, or do you see yourself as a leader everywhere?
At home, I'm more of a father. And at church, I'm more of a leader. Actually, I prefer to be a leader at church, because at church, I'm exposed to other people around me where I need to give leadership. But it's different at home. At home, I need to provide, I need to do everything. So I'm more of a father at home, and I enjoy that role. I have a good relationship with my kids. I laugh with my kids. Good relationship with my wife. We laugh. At home, it's a fun environment where even this thing, being a father, I don't take it too serious. I'm just a relaxed father who jokes around with everybody around. I'm not that old kind type of a father, you know, firm father. No, I'm a relaxed kind of. I enjoyed myself at home. Actually, what they get at church is what is from home.
Tell us about your roles and responsibilities. What do you do?
Yes, I do quite a few. I've got quite a few responsibilities that I do. I pastor a local church that is in Benoni, in Kingsway, Johannesburg, South Africa, of course. I oversee one of the provinces in Gauteng, Power of God Assemblies. I oversee that province. We've got some few churches. We are a growing province. We'll be one of the leading provinces in a few years to come. So I oversee that province. I also sit in a National Executive Council in our church nationally. I think this is one of the few responsibilities I'm doing currently.
How do you juggle between your national, provincial, local responsibilities and being a father at home?
Yes, it's my passion. It's easy for me because, you know, I'm a full-time pastor. It's not even a hassle for me to dedicate myself to other activities like attending. Actually, we plan our meetings nationally, maybe way ahead. So it's easy for me to plan for that one. Even running the province of Gauteng, it's very, very easy for me because we have a plan. So it's not a hassle. I do this one happily, so because this is what I love. I love leadership. I love pastoring. This is my passion. This is my calling.
When I listen to you and also realizing that you're a pastor and working with believers, I imagine that you do not have challenges. Is my imagination correct?
No, definitely not. There are quite a lot of challenges. You know, challenges, most of the time we cannot run away from challenges because they expose who we are. Anyone who will tell me that he doesn't face challenges, I wonder what kind of a leader that person is. I face quite a lot of challenges.
What kind of challenges do you go through in your leadership roles?
I pastor a church in a previously disadvantaged area where there's a lot of money that is needed. But you know, if you look, it's not an affluent kind of suburb where I am based. I'm based in a township, so to say. So we've got challenges of, running a church these days is very, very expensive. You need to pay for lights, you need to pay for music instrument, you need to pay for everything. People who are serving at church need to be well looked after. So from where I am in a township, pastoring in a township, it's very, very difficult. You know that most of your congregants are people who are not well off financially, but that's where the passion is, because we are not called to the rich, but we are called to uplift the poor. So you take that challenge of pastoring people sometimes who are not employed, sometimes where most of the time I use my own finances to help out. But these are the challenges that will expose your heart, who you are you really called of God? If you are not called of God, such challenges will distract you and will discourage you.
What are you most passionate about?
My passion is I want to lead with integrity. I want to lead with integrity, that people can look up to me. Also, I want to uplift the downtrodden people, those who cannot even afford to buy themselves bread. Not only to preach the gospel of Christ, but to help where I can. I've got one example that I can mention where we took a young man who had no parents, nothing at all, and we took him to university, and that boy is somebody today. My passion and my zeal is to uplift a black life, so to be specific.
What motivates you?
My background was my motivation. I grew up from the very, very poor background. I lost my parents at a very early age. Those who were supposed to look after me financially and take me to school. Everything that I've achieved in life, I had to work hard. So that is my passion. I don't want somebody young to find himself or herself in a situation where I was, where I had to start from scratch. I want to equalize a space where if the parents at home were not able to help this kid maybe to take to school, I want to step in and help them. That's my motivation, that they must not experience the difficulties that I experience in life.
What would you like to leave behind as your legacy?
Leadership is not about all these things. It's not about positions. It's not about financial gains. But my mentor will always say that, if you want to lead, just take a lead. It's not about position. It's not about accumulation. I want to be remembered as somebody who led well, who led a credible life, who led with integrity, where if people look at me in 100 years to come, they said, wow, what a leader this man was. I'm not motivated by financial gains. I'm not motivated by, even position or status or anything. I want to lead where I see the gap in leadership. This is how I want people to remember me. Somebody who was sold out to leadership.
How do you hope your leadership will impact the people from within your organization and from outside your organization?
This is how I lead. I allow people to be themselves. I don't constrain or frustrate leaders that I work with. So I allow them to flourish. Whatever talent God placed in them, I want that talent to flourish under my leadership. Anyone who's serving under my leadership must feel free, whether to question me, whether to ask me anything, because my intention is that it's my passion to raise leaders. And those leaders, credible leaders, leaders who will lead in their specific corners wherever God placed them. So I want to lead in a manner that those whom I lead with, they will tell from my life, because I'm not just leading because I'm placed in a position of leadership. I lead because there's something that I want to achieve. And one of those things that I want to achieve, it is to raise leaders, credible leaders, people who will affect our country, people who will affect the space around, not just people who lead maybe, I kept saying this point, not people who lead because there's a benefit, but people who have a passion and a zeal for leadership. So this is what I'm hoping to leave behind whenever I decide to retire, that I leave credible leaders, people who will affect communities around them.
You are speaking of retirement. Are you going to retire one day?
Oh, definitely. Any leader must, whether no matter how young you are, you must lead with that in mind. You must start as early as possible raising young leaders. The sad story about leaders, you find credible, big, well-known leaders all over the world, but they didn't call anybody. And you need to know this one. It takes time to build a leader. A credible leader, even if you look at the example in the Bible, it takes about 10 to 20 years to raise somebody. So yes, definitely I'll retire. I don't want to lead forever. For as long as I'm making sense, I'm making impact, I still have something to offer, I will lead. But when time comes, when I've seen that I've raised enough leaders, I'll step aside and allow to be led by those that I've groomed.
Do you have anybody that you can point out as your mentor or influencer in your leadership journey?
There are two gentlemen that I want to mention. They influenced me a lot. But before I talk about these two gentlemen, let me mention this to you. One day in my other work, while I was doing a secular work, I was in a position to attend to the late Holy Hlahla Mandela in my line of work. That guy inspired me a lot. As he was coming into our company, there were people who were sitting on the foyer, mostly white guys were sitting. As he was entering, people just stood up without anyone commanding them. I was inspired by that, such kind of a leadership. But there's a gentleman in Nigeria called Bishop David Oyedepo. That guy is my mentor. Whenever I look at that guy, I get so inspired. He's a pastor, he's a bishop. He ran a church of about 600,000 membership. They have a local church of about 60,000 seating capacity. But what inspires me about that guy, he's selling his book all over the world, but he doesn't take a cent out of that. That guy, that church, they've got about 2 universities. One of them is Covenant University. They've built close to 200 schools. That kind of a leadership that inspires me. I'm inspired by that guy. I'm inspired by his faith. He's a man of faith. And of course, my very own father, Bishop Cliff Mutembo. But Bishop Cliff Mutembo is in Pietermaritzburg. Wow, incredible life. A man of value. I'm being fathered by a credible man. He's a man whom I'm not ashamed to call my father. He preaches pure gospel. His life, he lives credible life. A man with one wife. A man that will never found his name all over the media doing wrong things. A man who's leading his life, his family, his business perfectly. A man who listened to the Holy Spirit. He's my mentor. I look up to him. I met this guy when I've lost my father, when there was no father figure in my life. and God just directed me to him. From there, my life took over. He's a man who saw a potential in me even before I realized. And I'm living I'm a living proof that if you are raised well, you'll become the best leader ever. So Bishop Cliff Mthembu is my mentor.
What piece of advice that you received from any of your mentors that you have treasured?
One, with Bishop Oyedepo, he's a man of faith. You know, he is dedicated to his ministry. He's passionate about what he's doing. And I'm a man of faith. You know, I believe God, even where there's no hope. But once God declared his word, I believe God. I take God at his word. You know, with Bishop Cliff Mthembu, I can say a lot about this man. You know, what always inspires me about him, you know, he's not that kind of a bishop where in order to approach him you need protocol. He's a man that I can call. He's a man that I can be vulnerable with. He's a man that I can tell all my weaknesses, all the things that I don't do right. You know, he is my father. He's my spiritual father. But when I talk to him like a brother. I've developed a relationship with him so much that there's nothing that I cannot address with him. Actually, I remember back in the days when it was difficult during COVID, you know, I will approach that man. I will say whatever that I want to say. He's the man that has allowed me a space that even if there's something that I don't understand, that maybe in his life, that I can ask him freely so. So the advice that I always get from him is to be me. And he embraced me the way I am. And I'm me, I'm myself. I don't try to be somebody else.
Tell us about friendships. Do you have friends?
Friendship is also important, very important. I've got a lot of friends, but I've got this specific one. He's my brother. He's Pastor Shoba, Pastor Nkosinathi Shoba. He's the man that I can say anything to him. You know, as a leader, you need somebody to talk to. Sometimes somebody at your level, somebody that will never hide anything, somebody that will be honest with you, tell you when you're not doing well, advise what to do and what not to do. Yes, I value friendship so much because it allows you to be you, especially when you are troubled, when things are not going around. You need somebody you can talk to, somebody you trust, somebody you've built friendship with. So yes, I do have friends, but there's this specific one that I spend most of my time with.
How do you cultivate your friendships? What do you do to keep that friendship beneficial and having value in your life as a leader?
Friendship with me, it's all about honesty. I'm an honest guy, and the person that you are will attract even friends around you. I'm a very, very honest guy. I struggle to make friends actually because of my character. Some people, they say I'm too serious, but I must admit I take time to get used to somebody. But once I get used to that somebody, I'm a loyal guy. You know, if you are a friend to me, you can trust me. I'm easygoing guy, you know. I enjoy sport, I enjoy church, I enjoy quite a lot of things. I enjoy going out. I like going out. I like going out to the restaurant. Sometimes with my friends, we go eat out, you know. We drive around. So I cultivate my friendship by exposing all my other side that other people don't know about it. That I play sport, I enjoy sport, I like swimming, I like fishing. So I do quite a lot. I'm a fun guy. I'm not a boring kind of a guy.
What sports do you like?
I'm a passionate football. I love Orlando Pirates. I love Chelsea. I love Real Madrid. I'm passionate about sport. I spend most of my time watching sport. If I'm not preaching, if I'm not at church, I love sport. Football is my number one. I love cricket. I played cricket at school, and I love rugby recently. So, but I'm an all-rounder. I love most of the sport, but football is my passion.
What are your final thoughts to the young upcoming leaders and to those who've been leading for a long time but struggling in their leadership roles as leaders?
My mentor will always say this, that leadership is about taking a lead. Leadership is about finding a space and take a lead, do something. Leadership is about doing something. Let me make an example. When you read in the Bible the story of Jesus feeding the multitude, hey, there's something to learn out of that. Because these people were hungry and they've been out there for quite some time. And Jesus will say, is there anyone with food that we can give it to them? They said, there's nothing except for that boy. And then they took the food from that boy. And when they took the food, it was not for him. It was not for Jesus, but it was for them. Even that miracle that Jesus performed, it was not to his glory. It was to feed them. Even when he addressed his disciples, he will say, sit them down. They were seated down in an orderly form. And then they started distributing food. We are not told that Jesus ate. Sometimes as a leader, if you don't have enough food, you must be happy that people have eaten even though you didn't get. To lead is not about you. Today's leaders, they whether in politics, whether in business, even at church, it's about them. What's in for me? So that is my motivating example of a credible kind of a leader Jesus is. If you read that scripture well, Jesus will say, sit them down. Even after eating, Jesus will order the disciples to gather all the leftovers. And it was not for himself as well. I think the leftovers was for the disciples. Let them eat last. If you are a leader, you eat last. You don't eat first. Let's say, for example, my brother, you have 100 rand. If you are a leader, let everybody eat. If there's something remaining, then you will eat. But if there's nothing left for you to eat, enjoy that those you are called to lead have eaten. So that is in leadership. You don't get to benefit first. Let them eat, then you eat last if there's something for you to eat. And number 2, don't be encouraged by anything else to lead. Let people see leadership in you. Let people approach you. We are about to do this. Can you lead us into this? This is what I call leadership. Not people who go into leadership because of position, because of popularity, because of any other motivation. So I will advise young people, never pursue leadership unless you have what it takes to offer those that you are leading. Be like Christ. Christ was leading not expecting anything. He was sold out to serve those his disciples. Number 2, when you are a leader, let me go to that example again. Christ fed the multitude, more than 5,000 people, But there's nowhere in the scripture where it mentioned that at last he said, no, it's our time now to eat. Sometimes as a leader, you will feed people, end up not eating at all. You don't have to worry about that. Your job is to lead. If those that you are leading are full, well-fed, that's it. You know, to the leaders maybe who face different kind of challenges as leaders, I think maybe the root of the problem is what kind of a leader you are. When you lead, don't expect that people will applaud you, people will praise you for leading. Lead, let the people's life, when you see people's lives changing, the challenge will be swallowed by the end results. The difficulties, the challenges, the stress of leadership, the accusation, the whatever, those things will be swallowed by the end product. For an example, if you look at Madiba, when we got our freedom at last, maybe even though he didn't spend much time with us, but the fact that what he struggled for led the country to where we are now. So most of the leaders, they get depressed because they think it's about themselves. While leaders, they expect maybe to be praised, maybe they expect to be rewarded. Sometimes people will never reward you for what you are doing. But if you know that what I'm doing is my calling, is what I'm here to do, whether people praise you or not, but keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing well. Keep leading with integrity. Keep affecting people. This is what we are called to do.
I want you to say this line again. The end result?
The end result will always swallow the challenges you face.
What do you think are the most important qualities for a leader to have?
There are some 3 points to me that will describe a leader. Selfless, where all you do, whether it's a leader at church, in business, or in politics, where all you do is not about you. Selfless, that is key. Number 2, no material gains. Whatever you do as a leader, for as long as you know that it has nothing to do with me, I stand to benefit. Actually, the benefit is to lead. The benefit is to walk ahead of them, showing them where to go. Lastly, I believe that you can be entrusted with leadership, but I believe that if you are entrusted with leadership or a leadership position, but you need to prove yourself, you need to equip yourself. One of the advice that I will give to young leaders or to whoever who aspire to be a leader, even though you feel the passion of leading, but get enough training. Read as much as you can. If there are training courses, take those courses, because they cultivate the kind of leaders. They expose you to the areas. They stretch you to the capacity even within you that you are not aware that I have this. So this is the best 3 advice I'll give to any person. It's not about you. Selflessly, and then without expecting anything in return. Then people will respect you for the incredible kind of leader you are.
Thank you very much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel, LaFoy TV.